This practical autism education video focuses on structured teaching, more specifically, the strategy of creating visual schedules. Visual schedules show students where to go as they transition between locations. Visual schedules allow students to grow in their independence while also reducing their anxiety through providing predictability and meaningful information. There are three steps to follow while creating visual schedules for students. The first step is to make a list of the locations at school where the student spends time. This includes spaces within the school, spaces within rooms in the school, and also spaces outside of the school. Then give each space a name. Next, determine a representation system that matches your student's skills. It's important to select a system that your student can access easily, even on their hardest day. For the purposes of this video, we will use picture communication symbols that also contain printed words. Finally, collect the necessary materials. In our school region, we often use BoardMaker software for creating the symbols, but you could use other symbol systems as well. The other supplies can be purchased at craft stores if they are not already available within the school. There are several things to consider before printing picture communication symbols. Knowing your student will help with making these decisions, and you may need to try draft versions of the symbols in order to make the best choices for your students. The main visual schedule will be used to tell the student where to go. Again, there are several things to consider, and knowing your student will help. A stationary schedule is one option. It will be mounted in a transition area within a space where the student spends a lot of time, for instance, in their classroom. After finishing in one space, the student returns to the transition area to check their schedule. One way of doing this is by placing a transition card into the finished envelope, taking the top icon and carrying it as they travel to the location represented by that symbol. Another option is a portable schedule that the student carries with them. To use this schedule, a student can be cued or prompted to check their schedule, for instance, with a transition card. They would place that in the finished envelope, open their schedule, take the next icon and place it on the front of their schedule. They then would carry the schedule as they travel to the location indicated on the front of their schedule. Matching stations help to teach students the locations at school by providing a place for students to match that symbol when they arrive. These matching stations can be placed at each location that is represented on the student's visual schedule. Once the students know the locations, it may be possible to fade the use of these matching stations and adjust the visual schedule to best suit the student's needs. As mentioned before, as students are introduced to visual schedules initially, we often use a transition card to prompt the student to check their schedule. This visual prompt is often also paired with the verbal prompt, check schedule. Sometimes physical prompts are also needed initially. Over time, plans are put in place to fade these prompts to promote independence. There may be other adaptations that are necessary for your students. If you keep the end goals in mind of student well-being, success, and independence, this will help to guide your decision making. Remember, we never remove students' schedules, rather, we make adjustments based on what our students need. Thank you for taking the time to learn about visual schedules. More practical autism education strategies based on evidence-based practices can be found on practicalautismeducation.weebly.com.